everyone. Okay, so this is my, I guess you could say, response to Ellie Ray J, to her blog on remembering September 11th. And if you guys haven't seen her blog, I would recommend that you check it out. So she gave her own personal story of where she was back in 2001, when the terrorist attacks took place. And after hearing what she said, I thought it'd be nice if I would share my story of where I was when this took place. So it was September 11th, 2001, and I was back at Rio Hondo, a community college about 20 minutes away from where I live. And I got up early because every single day I had cross-country practice, and that was something I actually looked forward to. So in the morning, as I was getting out, my mom tells me that a plane crashed into one of the Twin Towers, that they were saying it on the news. And so I wasn't really sure what to think, I was just really shocked. And so I'm getting ready, and we take off so she can drop me off at school. And on the way there, we had the radio on, and that's where I heard that a second plane crashed into the building. And just to hear that this was actually happening, it was a little hard to grasp the reality of it, because you keep thinking, no, this can't be happening, that we're a super strong country, and that things like this don't usually happen, that nothing like this has happened. And the more they describe it, the more you find out that this is really happening, and that people are quote unquote like jumping out of the windows, and that there's panic. And the last thing you want to do is go to school because of this. And so I get dropped off at school, I get ready to start running, and inside the locker room where all the coaches are, they have their own separate office. Everyone's like around the TV, and they were showing the Twin Towers on fire, and my coach is there, a lot of my friends are there, and we're all watching this. And that's when, right before we went to run, it showed one of the buildings actually starting to fall, and no one said anything. There was just a huge pause, a huge silence. And I just looked at my coach, and he was just shaking his head, looking down. And that was enough for me. Right then, it was just horrifying. I literally felt like crying, because it was just too sad to see, to watch. And so we go ahead and, I guess, do our daily run, which is probably about maybe 6 or 8 miles. And I heard that that President Bush ordered all airplanes, any type of plane, to land, that no one could take off. And that was the first time when I was running I didn't hear any planes at all. Most of the time that you hear like 3 or 4 planes within an hour, I heard nothing. Oh, I heard trees and birds, which was a change, but still it felt really awkward, like nothing was right. After running, I went to my class, which was, I guess, maybe 20 or 30 minutes after that, and there was no one there. No one was there. I mean, the teacher was there and there were a couple of students, but it was empty. And all that they were talking about was what was happening. And they talked about the religion of the people who were doing it, trying to figure out why they did it and who was behind it. And I remember that they were closing down the theme parks Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm, because they were afraid that the same thing would have happened there. Any place that there was a mass amount of people visiting, any huge public places, those were all closed down. And I went to a couple of my other classes, and those were kind of empty as well. And basically, they didn't really teach you anything that day. We just sat there and we just talked about it. And that was it. I mean, everyone gave their opinion, and they said what they thought. And they just said, we understand if you feel like leaving or going home. Just, it's like no class. If you're here, you're here, but it doesn't really count as class. And later on, when I got home, the TV was on, everyone was watching, and that was the one thing, I guess you can say, good thing, is that when I was watching the news, all the major news stations, or the, I guess you could say, the networks, all decided to share information. Because this was such a big deal, and no one had really any updated information. Everyone just had the same old information, trying to find new edges, trying to find any possible reason why this was happening. Like, no one knew. Everyone was just running around trying to figure it out. And so all the news networks and stations all decided to share information. If anyone got anything, they would pass it along to everyone else so they could report it to us as soon as possible. And all you hear about is the firemen and the policemen, even the citizens of New York, all going there trying to help people, pull them out from the buildings that fell down, all the people who were injured. One thing that they kept saying was that a homeless man who, when they saw the buildings fall down and people were doing blood donations and money donations, a homeless man walks up to them, gets his cup, and dumps all of his money in there as a donation. And it just shows you how put together people were. I mean, even though it was chaos going on, a lot of people came together just to help everyone else. There were normal citizens directing traffic. I mean, that's a great thing. And of course, it shows also what the mayor of New York at the time was doing. That he came together and he really tried to keep people calm and really make things happen. But after a while of people reviewing on TV what happened, it really got to me. I actually had to go upstairs and just start laying out and start crying because I couldn't keep it in. I couldn't. It was just a terrible thing that I've never experienced. Even though I didn't know anyone who's personally in the Twin Towers, just the idea of it happening, seeing people actually jump out of the windows and die, it was just too terrible to hold in. And if I do see 9/11 videos, I still get really teary-eyed because that's something you don't forget, you don't move on from. It's something that really stays with you. And I know that even if they were to find Bin Laden, that it still doesn't justify anything, even if he's found. Because eventually he'll be found. He will be found, he'll commit suicide, or he'll be found dead. That's the only options. You find yourself, or he dies natural causes, or he kills himself. That's it. And even then, does that really justify it? Does that make anything any better? Maybe, maybe not. The one thing that I was going to show you guys, if I can find my backpack, is that this is pretty old, but this is my backpack from way back when. The day after the 9/11 attacks. When I went to school, they were passing around this. Now, it's very old and wrinkly and really in bad shape. But they were passing these out for free. They were passing out flags, everything. Just so you could, I guess, be proud of who you were. And ever since that day, I always keep it in my backpack. like so. I always wear it everywhere I go. I never remove the American flag. And now I have dust all over me. But I never remove that flag. Because that's the day that reminds me of what happened and what it meant to be American. I'll never forget that day. And I still don't. Anyway, so that's my memory, that's my experience. That's how I saw September 11th. And if you guys have any stories that you want to share, where you were, how it made you feel, then feel free to post them. Just link them together. Just like I'm going to link this one to Ellie Ray J's videos. Anyway, that's it for now. Take care.